What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Channel. My name's AJ Gels. How y'all doing? God damn, this video, this is like my white whale. Like, I'm losing my mind. I keep starting this damn thing. I'm not happy with it. Scrap it. Start it again. Not happy with it. Scrap it. It's really starting to piss me off here. So if I take some frustration out during this video, if I sound like I'm really getting pissed, that's why. I mean, in all honesty, I did the full show. You know, like I had like an hour and a half of recording. That was, you know, obviously that was going to get cut down, but you know, I did the full show, a bunch of news articles and everything. But really, it came down to it. I wasn't happy with that video, so then I tried doing this video, and again, my problems with my intro started. I'm getting a headache because I think a storm's coming in. Just a whole lot of shit has been going down in the last like 2 hours for me that has led me to this point where I'm slowly losing my grips on reality. But I've come to the decision that we're only going to talk about one article this week for the show, because frankly, this is the one article that I really wanted to talk about this week. The one thing that I feel that I can talk about passionately, that I'm very interested in, and it was sent to me on Twitter from my good friend Samori Roden. And it's about how Phil Spencer apparently doesn't see Sony as competition moving forward for Xbox. This is an article by Sammy Barker of Push Square. By the way, you'll find a link to the article in the description. As I always say whenever we talk Xbox stuff through a Push Square article, Push Square is a PlayStation-focused website, etc. So take that for what you will. Real quick before we get started, I do want to mention this. I know uploads have been slow lately. Not a whole hell of a lot I can do about that. I mean, I am sorry about it. I wish it wasn't that way. It just is. My work schedule's been nuts as of late. You know, as a part-time employee, for where I work, basically that means I fill in wherever the hell they need me. So my schedule every week changes. I don't have set days off or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm working full-time hours at the moment. I mean, because it's been that way for the last couple weeks, and it's going to be that way for the next couple weeks. I'm working full-time hours, so I'm getting sleep when I can. I'm getting rest when I can. I'm getting stressed out a lot, and everything. I'm trying to keep up with recording and everything, and trying to give you guys content to watch here. It's like I said, it's frustrating. It's taking a lot out of me. I'm not trying to play the poor me game. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just telling you guys, I'm doing my best with what I have. You know, I kind of need to sleep and go to work and everything because, you know, work is kind of how I pay my bills and buy video games. So all that good stuff. But let's actually talk about what we came here for, and not listen to me talk about my life. Let's actually talk about this article. Let's hop into the first paragraph here. And the thing I like about Push Square, it's usually pretty short, but the initial interviews or everything came from Protocol and The Verge, so you can go check those out if you want the full context of the interviews and everything like that. But article reads, enthusiast forums may be focused on the ongoing battle between Sony and Microsoft, but Xbox boss Phil Spencer sees Amazon and Google as its big competitors moving forwards. The talkative executive dropped the soundbite during an interview with Protocol, in which he dismissed PlayStation's ability to implement a cloud-based infrastructure on par with Redmond Firm's Azure setup. That's right. That's why you're going to overtake PlayStation. It's the fact that PlayStation it doesn't have the ability to set up a cloud-based infrastructure, because cloud-based infrastructure, that's the future. That's why they're losing out to PlayStation. It's not the fact that PlayStation has better games and it's simpler to use and its marketing is way better. No. That's certainly not what leading PlayStation to success in the next gen console, while I think Xbox is doing everything they can to not stumble like they did with the Xbox One. I've really kind of come to this thought because I've been mulling these articles and all these takes over in my head, because, you know, when I first saw this stuff, I was kind of getting that instant, like, you know, split second, like, asshole response that a lot that you see reflected in this comment section for this article a few places, and that is, well, of course Xbox doesn't see PlayStation as competition. PlayStation is kicking the shit out of them. I wouldn't think I'm competing. That's like a high school team trying to play the New England Patriots. Of course they're going to get the shit kicked out of them. There's not, it's just, that's how it's working right now. But, and I'm seeing other people talking about it and how, Xbox is going and focusing on all this, this cloud-based and streaming-based platforms and everything. And, okay, I understand that. I get it. There are also people in the comments of this article who bring that up as well. That, yes, okay, Xbox is probably kind of trying to pivot what their main focus is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like I said, I think PlayStation is really been winning this current idea of this current model of distribution and everything. I think Sony's got it down with not only the technology side. I think their console is solid and everything, but their selling point is their games. I think Xbox is trying to do it through the technology side. They're trying to win out in the technology side. I think that's a little bit of a flawed view, but I can understand their approach to things. And and I've kind of come to the realization that I think Phil Spencer, I think he's way more focused, and I think he would be much better suited to being to focus on the tech side of things with Xbox, and let somebody else run the more game focused side, or really let somebody else run Xbox as a whole, and let Phil Spencer focus more on the tech behind Xbox. And I think you see it a lot more. I think you really see that kind of different in personality and approach and everything when you saw him stand up on stage next to people like Reggie Fils-Aimé and Shuhei Yoshida. It's just, he comes off very technical, very, very robotic compared to those other two. Because I think the other two have this passion for games and everything. Well, I think Phil Spencer has this passion more for the tech side. And again, this isn't one of those that I'm going to have like annotated sources or anything. It's just a vibe that I get from him every time he talks. And a few of the quotes that I pull out for this article, I think kind of show that. Because every time you hear him go off about how great the Series X is, it's not about the games. It's always about our system. It's going to be one of the most advanced gaming platforms and this and that. And here's Game Pass and here's this Project X Cloud we're working on. Look, I mean, if you've heard me talk about Stadia, I don't think these cloud-based game things are gonna work, at least right now. Until we fix the connectivity issues specifically, it's not gonna work. I mean, hell, I could go down the street and get better connection than I can in my own house. And then you could go down the street the other direction and get worse connection. That's just kind of how it works. Because I know the U.S. has weird connection rates depending on where you live, and like I said, it could vary mile to mile. I have friends who live out in rural parts of the country, and their internet is really spotty. I don't think they want to have that issue of, well, it rained today, and so my internet connection's a little bad, so I guess I can't play my games. I think that's one big issue with Stadia, the fact that I think you need to have the right internet to play it. Mix that with the fact that I don't think like using your data on your phone, like using it in the car, is going to work. I do not believe for a second. I have not seen somebody tell me, oh yeah, it works perfectly fine on your phone, like on a car ride or whatever, streaming to your phone. I've not heard one person talk about how, oh yeah, it works perfectly. It feels like what I'm being sold through all the Stadia ads isn't what we actually get. Then you mix into the fact that there's like 40 games on Stadia, the fact that it's trying to kind of half be a Netflix of video games, but also half be Steam. It's, well, you can buy your games, or you can get this or you can get the pro membership and stream the games, like renting them, and Stadia has just been such a what exactly is it thing for me. I know I'm supposed to be talking Xbox. I'm getting into a Stadia thing. I'm getting into a Stadia tangent here, and I'll try and bring this back to the topic at hand here. I think the issues that we see with Stadia are going to be issues that we see with the xCloud. It's a really cool idea. Not for the current day. I don't think I mean, look, if you want to say we should start looking into this technology and we should start developing for it, fine. Same thing with VR. But the thing was, VR was pushed out so fast. I still think the problem was it was so gimmicky, and it still is, that even the truly cool VR stuff, even though it is a little gimmicky, I love Super Hot. I played that in VR. That was the first time that I played VR. I'm like, oh, this is really fucking cool. But the problem is, things like Super Hot, in my opinion, are so far and few between. Or is it few and far between? Whatever. There's not a lot of stuff like that in VR. Like, I mean, I played Resident Evil 7 in VR. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But I'm not going to buy a VR headset just to play Super Hot and just to play Resident Evil 7 in VR. It's like I said, you push this tech so fast that all you end up with is with a lot of gimmicks. It's not fully functional as its own platform yet. So now it's just this weird peripheral. And it's a similar thing with Stadia. It's a weird peripheral. It's the thing I actually like the setup like PlayStation Now, which is mentioned later, and I actually like Game Pass. I like the idea of Xbox Game Pass, how they act as supplements. They act as supplements to your traditional sort of distribution method of you sell games on your online store, and then you also have this monthly subscription of, hey, you can play older titles, or you can play this, you can play it from this long catalog of older titles, or whatever all is on PlayStation Now. I haven't looked at it for a long time. I don't use PlayStation Now. I know people who do, and they say they really like it. So I like that model. Stadia just seems really jumbled to me. It's also a kind of a question of, it's connected to your account, and how exactly do you own things? It's just, to me, the way Stadia marketed itself was very, like I said, jumbled compared to what the PlayStation Store did and everything. At least that's to me. I'm sorry. I've gotten way off the beaten path here. Basically, what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong with trying to develop this technology, but I think Spencer is looking so far in the future he can't see what's in front of him. He's looking 3 or 4 moves ahead. He's not looking at his next move. To use a more common phrase, he's getting ahead of his skis. This is his problem. He's looking so far down the line, he cannot focus on Series X and getting this to work really well and to recover from what Xbox One was. And I'm sure people are going to tell me, AJ, Xbox One was fine. It wasn't the failure. That's true, but we can't look at it in a vacuum. We have to compare it to what the PlayStation did. And PlayStation killed it. Why didn't Xbox? Why didn't they? It comes. We can come up with the reasons of, they just didn't have. Like I said, I think it was all games. In all honesty, I think that's what completely set PS4 and Xbox apart. This generation, I think it was just the games and the studios. And it comes down to, I don't think Xbox pushed that side of things like they should have. I'm going to be entirely honest. Yeah, I'm sorry. This started off as trying to rip into Phil Spencer about this idea. And now I've touched on about 3 or 4 other topics. I'm sorry. Let's get back into the article here. And I quote, "When you talk about Nintendo and Sony, we have a ton of respect for them, but we see Amazon and Google as the main competitors going forward," he said. Yeah, again, you see Amazon and Google as your main competitors. It's such a flaw. Let's keep going. "That's not to disrespect Nintendo and Sony, but here comes some disrespect. But the traditional gaming companies are somewhat out of position," and there it is. "I guess they could try to recreate Azure, but we've invested tens of billions of dollars in the cloud service over the years." Sony, of course, end quote. Sony, of course, has signed a strategic partnership with Microsoft to leverage its servers and further develop cloud-based gaming solutions. Up until the introduction of Google Stadia last year, PlayStation Now was the only streaming option on the market. Spencer, regardless, is thinking bigger than the traditional console wars. Yeah, except he's currently the thing is, he's thinking beyond the console wars, but he's losing the current war. That's what I'm trying to get at here. That's what, in all of this rambling, I'm trying to make a point of, is that don't destroy yourself trying to think too far ahead, by trying to focus what's, again, I keep saying this, he's focusing on what's so far ahead in the future, he's not focusing on tomorrow. That's the problem here. It's like he's saying, Sony and Nintendo, they're out of position. No, they aren't. They are in possession. They are in position for next for their next step. You are not. And look, again, you want to tell me, AJ, what the fuck do you know? You're just some 25-year-old punk sitting in a room, I'm trying to think. Have I actually put on actual pants today? I'm wearing shorts, but, I've not actually, dressed like an adult today. What the hell do you know? This guy's running this, he's in charge of Xbox and all this. He knows shit that you clearly don't. And yeah, sure, that's fair. That's a fair point. But from where I sit, from everything I can see, Xbox is not set up for the next generation to be a success. If you want xCloud and whatever they have in the future to succeed, Xbox Series X has to succeed. Sure, I'm not saying that success is a linear path. Yes, sometimes you try something, it doesn't work, and then you recover. Sure. But you've already had that. It didn't really work. And again, I'm not trying to say Xbox One is a failure, and I keep kind of alluding that it was. But I keep having to say, we gotta compare it to PlayStation. They have lagged so far behind this generation that PlayStation is just sprinting ahead of them. That at this point, PlayStation can try something weird, which, one of the articles I was thinking about bringing up today was an article of it was a patent that has apparently made some people kind of weirded out. It's of like a voice recognition thing where you can ask your PlayStation, hey, how does somebody beat this boss? And it says, well, 80% of players did it this way, blah, 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 blah. And people are afraid it's going to push microtransactions. They could push an idea like that might not work out. But it's not going to hurt them in the long run because they've already made such whopping success with their platform. I haven't seen that with Xbox in a long time. That's what I'm talking about here. That's what I'm trying to get. And it really does kind of tick me off the way he's saying this. And yes, again, like I mentioned this earlier, that we do have to understand that this site does have a little bit of a bias towards PlayStation, so this quote might be taken slightly out of context. But just by saying that these other companies are out of position is completely incorrect. They are totally in position with what their focus is. This is... It almost feels like this is a guy saying, "Oh, well, you're focusing on the stock market. Well, I'm focusing on Bitcoin." I don't fully know Bitcoin and finances or whatever, but can you understand what I'm saying? This is him saying, you're not focused on what I'm focusing on, therefore, how to put it? You're not focused on what I'm focusing on. You don't see the future the same way I see the future, therefore, you're out of position. And I know, and if you want to again say that I'm kind of saying that about Xbox because they're trying to do something different, the reason I say that is because I don't think the gaming market is completely set up to move in that fully cloud-based, all digital infrastructure. I don't see the market moving and the industry moving that way. Look, if he wants to try it and prove me wrong, try it and prove me wrong. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I think it's a brilliant move. He's sitting there saying with that sort of that definitive take of PlayStation, oh, they're going to hurt themselves because they aren't moving into this market. And again, this maybe this is how I'm interpreting this. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just getting myself worked up, and I'm trying to read something into what Spencer's saying here, and something. I'll try and bring it back. I'll try and calm it down a little bit. It's like I said. I'm sorry. I'm taking some deep breaths. I took a sip of my drink, taking some deep breaths. I'm trying to get myself back on point here because I've gone so far down a rabbit hole that it's like I said, it's just it's that out of position line that is really getting me here. Because part of me wants to say, no, Phil, you're wrong, but then I feel like a hypocrite because I'm saying what he's saying, and that's what's going on in my brain here. Basically, what I'm saying is, I think he's wrong. I think he's focusing on the wrong thing. He's allowed to, but by saying they're out of position, it sounds, coming from the guy who didn't have the success PlayStation, saying that PlayStation's out of position when they had that level of success when PlayStation had that level of success this generation, that just seems like sour grapes to me. There we go. That's why it bothers me. If you were able to stick through that entire rant, I'm sorry that I had to find the words to say it. It sounds like sour grapes. It sounds like I'm mad that PlayStation killed it that generation and we didn't. So I'm just going to change the goal. There we go. Sorry, that took so long for me to get out. If you haven't figured out, so much of this show is just me just kind of talking off the hip. Whatever. Let's finish this last paragraph here. He continued, quote, I don't want to be in a fight over format wars with Nintendo and Sony, while Amazon and Google are focusing on how to get gaming to 7 billion people around the world. Ultimately, that's the goal, end quote. One step at a time, Phil, one step at a time. And I think that last little bit, it's like I said, one step at a time. Google Stadia and all these cloud things, it's gonna boost gaming to all these extra people in the world. I still don't see how that's more appealing than buying a console. It's because you can play anywhere, you can play on your PC or your laptop. Well, from what I've heard, that a lot of these, like your phone and some laptops and whatever don't run. Can't handle streaming a lot of these games at the high specs. That then you have the internet issues. Then you're acting like, the current format has too many limitations. Let's move on to this new medium. But let's be honest. But that new medium also has tons of limitations. You're trading one group of limitations, which might be cost, which might be, which, like I said, a lack of portability, which might be lack of this or that or the other thing. But then you run into a new set of issues by trying to change platforms. To me, it just seems, again, the best way I can say it is, this is a guy who's so focused on the tech, he's lost sight of the games, and it seems like it's sour grapes. That I'm mad PlayStation kicked the crap out of us this generation, so let's change the goalpost. That's what it seemed like to me. I don't know. I'm curious. What do you guys think about this? Do you think I'm reading something into this that wasn't trying to be said? Do you take a different interpretation? Did you read something somewhere else that, I don't know, maybe it just led you to a different line of thought? I don't know. I'm not trying to be a PlayStation fanboy. I'm really not. It's hard for me to see what PlayStation did this generation and then listen to somebody say, "Oh, they're out of position." I don't see it. I just don't. Well, that's just me. Like I said, guys, this was going to be a little bit of a shorter one, a little more ranty, a little more whatever. Hope it didn't turn you guys off too much. At some point, I wanted to do this with passion than a full, long, normal, like typical show that just seemed like I was phoning it in. So there you go, guys. I'm going to take a nap after this. I'm starting to get a headache after all this rage that I'm feeling. So I'm going to take a nap, then I'm going to do some recording and actually play some games. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, social media platforms, that's Facebook, Twitter, the website, minds.com, BitChute, all that stuff down in the description below. Like, comment, you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned, more next time. Till then, my name's AJ Gels. This is Self That Gaming Channel. I'm out.